Good morning, I'm Ty. So hey, look, let's talk track and field. All right. Let's talk track and field. If you've ever run track and field before, you go to practice every day, right? You'll go to practice, say Monday through Friday. You may or may not rest on the weekends. Hopefully you do when you're not competing. But you'll go through every workout with the intent of stepping on the track and running a specific time. Now that time you set, you may have sort of set a goal for yourself of where you want to come in at that time. You may sort of estimate where you should come in, and so you work toward that. Everybody has a different approach. But one thing that's consistent with everybody who's running track, you're working extremely hard at every practice to run a specific time so that you gain position in lanes, so that you're in the top flight where only the best of the best are. You're in that invitational heat, whatever. Once you achieve that time, or say you come in first place, whatever, but you run that time that you were hoping to run, or you run faster, that's awesome. The very next week, you're going to work even harder to run an even faster time. Your entire season will go this way, with the goal of you peaking at some point in that season. Now, as the season ends, once you've gotten into the postseason, you've done everything. When the season ends, that next season, you can't do the same things that you did the previous season to get faster, to become stronger. You've got to further develop yourself. And life is like that. Your race is like that. You see, every race has a finish line. Now, in that first track meet, you worked really hard in that track meet to place first, second, or third, to run that specific time. Now that you've run that time for the next track meet, you have to do something different. You've got to work harder. You've got to work on your strength building, whatever, harder, right? Your core harder, stretching more, whatever it is. You've got to take a little bit of a different approach for that next one. You may be running against some folks who are faster. You may be running against some folks who are slower. Or maybe the team as a whole, they're doing some things differently and they're stronger in that area. But you as the individual have got to every single week improve upon your development so that you can achieve your goal at the end of that race. Now here's the deal. Once you've run that race, you can't repeat the race that you've already run. That track meet is over. So whatever you put in for that race, whatever you put into it is what you're going to get out of it at the end of that race. You're going to cross the finish line. When you cross the finish line, on the other side of that, depending upon what level you're running in, you might have media, you might have fans, spectators, whoever, and they're going to walk away and they're going to verbally give a record of how you performed. The key word is the record, right? Because what you've done, it now goes in the books. Whether it's life or whether it's business, it's the same. It now goes in the books. But you cannot go back and change that. The only thing that you can do is for the next track meet, as you prepare and you go to practice and you work hard every day, you've got to prepare yourself to take first, second, or third in that race, run a faster time if possible, so that way you can prepare for the next week. And you will continue to do that because life is like a track meet. Just as you continue to work and work and work and work, listen, in life you're going to do the same thing. Life you're going to do the same thing. You're going to always have that finish line. But see, that finish line is not the ultimate because you're in this huge season. You have this huge season, all right? But in this season, there are several track meets. Each one of those track meets, that is you stepping up to the next level. That is a part of your journey. It's a section in your life, a segment of your life, okay? It's a segment of your life. Each time you're going to work on personally developing yourself so that you're successful in that segment of life. You can't go back and change that. So you have to put everything into that particular time. You've got to put everything into that particular time so that when you run that race, you're successful. You come in first, second, or third. Now, it may not happen that way sometimes. Sometimes you might fall short of the goal. But here's the deal. What you do know is, because you've put all that effort in, is if that effort was not enough going into the next section or the next segment of your life, you've got to put in even more. You've got to do things differently. You've got to be more creative. You've got to do more studying. You've got to take some more time out for yourself. You've got to put forth, instead of 100%, 110%. Sometimes you got to stay up a little later. You got to wake up a little earlier. Whatever it takes for you to be that much more successful in this next period of your life. Life is just like a track meet. You're going to do that same thing, but you have to run that race. Nobody can run that race for you. If it's time for you during this particular section or segment or period of your life, you don't put forth everything that you have into this period of your life, at the end of this period of your life, you're going to look back. And if you're not happy, then you have to ask yourself, did you do everything that you could in order to be successful? If when you do that, you realize, I could have done this different. I could have done this differently. I could have done that differently. I should have went this way. I should have went that way. Maybe I should have talked to so-and-so. Maybe I should have went here. You'll go through a list of questioning. You'll go through all types of second guessing yourself. Here's the deal. You can't spend a lot of time on that at all. You've got to continue to move forward, because remember, just like the track has 8 or 9 lanes, that's competition. In life, whether in business, in corporate America, whatever it is that you're doing, there's going to be that competition there. There's going to be something or someone to challenge you. There's a race, and you're in this race. And in order for you to win that race, you have to know who or what your competition is. There is a way to alleviate the competition, and you create your own lane. That happens all the time. However, you've got to have the mindset to create your own lane. You've got to have the passion to create your own lane. You've got to be fearless. You've got to not pay attention to the opinions of everybody else, and you've got to be focused on your goal and achieving your goal. And that may mean alleviating some of the things that distract you from creating your own lane. Ultimately, that's what you want. You want your own lane, because when you have your own lane, you make your own rules. You don't have to follow the rules of everybody else. You create the bar. You create the ceiling. You determine how far you can go. You determine what you can and cannot do. And the reality is, there may never be a thing that you can or cannot do. So long as you're not harming anyone else, you go, and you go as far as you can. You do whatever you can do to get there. At the end of it, there's that finish line. Now, what that finish line looks like, it's different for everybody. But when you cross that finish line, it's important that you know that your job is not done. You don't get to hang it up and go to sleep. You don't get to go in there and celebrate and have a drink and this, that, or the other. No, that was just that period of life. You've got to now get ready for the next race. Now, what you got to understand is, just like in the track meet, depending upon the league that you're in, who you're running against, the club that you run for, this club right here might be a lot stronger than the club that you had last week. So this obstacle of life, this period of life may be stronger than that period of life from last week or from the last period. This time, you've got some major challenges, but you've got to look ahead. You've got to be forward thinking. You've got to start to strategize and see the directions that you have to go. If you've got to jump into another lane so that you can jump back over into this lane, whatever the case, you have to make sure that your mindset is focused and that you're driven on exactly where it is that you want to go. Don't waste time on it. Don't waste time looking back. Don't waste time with individuals who are not deliberately adding to your life, who their influence on your life is not helping you to get to your goal. If you have individuals that are holding you back, you don't want them around. If you have individuals who are, rather than serving you positivity, they're serving you doubt, you don't want them around. It doesn't matter who they are. They can be family, they can be a loved one, they can be a friend that you've had forever. It doesn't matter. What you don't need is, you don't need someone who is sort of working with you like oil and water. They're working against you. They're slowing down the flow of your river to success. You've got to get them out of there, because you're going to continue to work this way to try to duck and dodge them to get around them. You don't have that kind of time. While you're spending time ducking and dodging, going up underneath, climbing, trying to figure out how the heck am I going to dodge this negativity dart that's being thrown at me, your competition is moving. That period of life, it ain't waiting on you. It's going. And so long as you stay in this period of life, you can't jump to where you're going to get your victory because you're still at the starting line. The finish line is way over there. You've got to make the move, and you got to make the move fast. Run your race. Nobody can run it for you. The finish line is there. The finish line is waiting on you. Just remember, when you get to the finish line, it's not over. It's time to go back to the drawing board, create the strategy, create the plan on how you're going to win the next race. I'm Ty. This is for you. Let's go.